Hey, welcome back to Delectable You Recipes for Food and for Life. Today we are making an almond butter banana cashew cheesecake. It's vegan, it's gluten-free, and it's also refined sugar-free. I'm not gonna use any honey, I'm not gonna use any maple syrup, I'm not gonna use any coconut sugar, I'm not gonna use any of that. The only sweetener in this cake is the natural sweetness from the dates that we're putting in the crust and the natural sweetness from the bananas that go in the filling, and that's it. So it's a really great way to satisfy a sweet craving without sending you into that spike and then a crash that inevitably follows when you eat sugar. And it's also great for texture. Sometimes I just find myself craving a piece of cake without really wanting the sugar, and this satisfies that on a texture level. So I'm gonna show you what to do. So we're gonna do this in 3 stages. We're gonna make the crust, then we're gonna make the filling, we're gonna let that set, and we're gonna make the almond butter topping, and then we're gonna let it all set together. 3 layers. Grab yourself a food processor to make the crust, and I just have the regular blade in there. Okay, so we're gonna add 1/4 cup of Brazil nuts, 3/4 of a cup of almonds, a tablespoon of cacao nibs, 1 cup of unsweetened coconut flakes, about 8 dates. You can start with 6 and then work your way up to 8. Basically, you're gonna want the crust to come together. When you form a ball, you want, when you unfurl, is that the word? I don't know. When you undo your palm, you want the ball of crust to stay as a ball. And yes, there we go. The dates are really what's gonna make it stick. Okay, we're almost done. So we've got 2 tablespoons of vanilla. So this is, yeah, there's 1. There's a little more. 2. Okay, and finally we're just gonna take about 1/8 of a teaspoon of Celtic sea salt. Now we're just gonna grind it all together. Okay, so let me see here. Yeah, what I'm looking for is for it to stick. Yeah, see how it forms a little ball? When I undo my hand, it stays. That means I have enough dates in there. If you did that and it was like dry and crumbly and falling all over the place, then I would say add another date, process it again, and keep adding a date until you get that texture. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna grab yourself a springform pan. And this is important because what happens with the springform pan is when you undo it, the bottom comes out. So we won't have to worry about the cake sticking or anything like that. Okay, now you're gonna dump your crust onto the bottom of this springform pan. Okay, and then you're just gonna use your hands and your fingers to push it down into a nice even layer. It's my nice even layer. Okay, now we're gonna set this aside. I'm gonna wash my hands and we're gonna move on to phase 2. Now you're gonna grab my other favorite piece of equipment in the kitchen, your high-powered blender, and you're gonna add, we're gonna make your banana filling. So we're gonna add 3 very ripe bananas. 1. Okay, that's 3. Okay, next you're gonna add a can of full-fat coconut milk. This is a 13.5 fluid ounce can. Next up, we're gonna add 1/3 of a cup of coconut manna. Then we're gonna add 2 teaspoons of chia seeds. And I'm gonna pick up my daughter who wants to play. Oh, dip-a-doo. Okay, you wanna help me with the rest? Okay. Next, we're gonna add 1.5 cups of raw cashews that have soaked overnight, so they're nice and soft. And then we're gonna add 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Okay. Okay, that's it. That's it. Now we just have to blend all of this together. Okay, ready? Okay, so this is nice and smooth. And now all we need to do is pour it over our crust. So the great thing about this dessert, it's no bake and it's really easy. You can do it with a toddler on your hip. Now that is a testament to an easy recipe. Okay, Madison, we're gonna pour this over the crust. Oh, doesn't that look so good? Okay. Okay, so now before Madison tries to mix this anymore, we're gonna stick this in the freezer for about 2 or 3 hours or longer. We just want it to set, and then we're gonna make our almond butter topping and finish the job. All right, step 3. Phase 3, step 3, whatever. We're making some almond butter topping for the top of our cake. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a teaspoon of coconut oil and melt it down in a pan or pot with a cup of almond butter and 2 teaspoons of chia seeds. Now, I am adding the chia seeds, there we go, because chia seeds really help to gelatinize things. And since this is a cheesecake and we don't want it falling all over the place, this is gonna help us. So all we're gonna do is melt this down together, stir it up over medium-low heat until it all comes together. All right, this is nice and melted together. Look at that, that's nice and smooth. Wonderful. So I've taken my cake out of the freezer. Now we have to work fast because the cake is cold, and as soon as we put hot on top of cold, it's gonna start to get cold right away, so you have to spread it really quickly. So we're just gonna spread this layer of almond butter and coconut oil and chia seed over top of the cake. Just spread it out like this. Oh my gosh, this smells so good. So I didn't add any sugar or anything because I really don't think that it needs it. If you would like to sweeten it up a little bit, you can add a little bit of maple syrup. I don't think you need to though. That's the whole point of this cake, is to be sugar-free, guilt-free. I like guilt-free. Okay. This brings me back to icing cakes. For those of you who don't know, I used to be a pastry chef and I used to work for Duff Goldman on the Food Network. And we used to ice cakes every day. So that is it. So now I want this to set. So I'm gonna put this in the freezer for about another hour or 2 and let that set. When you would like to serve it, all you're going to do is you're gonna pop the springform pan open and push the cake bottom through. Put it in the fridge or at room temperature for, if you're gonna do it at room temperature, I'd say pull it out about half an hour before you wanna serve it. And in the fridge, pull it out a few hours before you wanna serve it, because otherwise you're gonna be trying to cut into a cake that's frozen solid, and that's not exactly the most productive way to serve this cake. So there you have it, your guilt-free, sugar-free, gluten-free, vegan almond butter, banana, cashew, cheesecake. That was a mouthful. I hope that you enjoyed as much as I do. Thank you so much for joining me. This has been Lauren with Delectable You, and I will see you again next time.